Hello world, hello world, hello world. Welcome to our online show tonight. By the special grace of God, we are greeting you and bringing you greetings from Nairobi, Kenya, on our Keep It Real show. We are not yet hitting the road. So when we are hitting the road, let you know. For now, I just want to interact with my friend to make her feel at home on this platform and to tell her that the world is watching us. We are live on Pastor Esther Obasi-Ike's. We are live on Pastor Esther Obasi-Ike's Facebook. We are live on Facebook. We are live on the Redeemed Christian Church of God Solution Center Facebook. We are live on Pastor Esther Obasi-Ike's. So I want to welcome Mrs. Adesola, Sotande-Peters. And I want to, first and foremost, let's interact and relax and be sure that the house is in order before we begin. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. God bless you. Good to see you. Say something.
Thank you so much for inviting me onto your show. And I'm really
and let's just hear something from you.
Okay, welcome. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really looking forward to being on the show today and sharing my life experiences and also learning from the show, because I'm sure there'll be some questions that will be posed on to me that will probably trigger some learnings for me. So I'm really looking forward to the show, and I'm spending the next couple of minutes or hours with Pastor Esther.
All right. Hello. Have you shared on your social media? Have you shared this? Please share. If you have not shared, please go and share right now on your Facebook, on your social media.
I should share, actually, yes. So I'll do that.
Yeah, please share so that when we begin, we focus.
Yes. Can you hear me clearly, or am I breaking?
I'm hearing you, but there is a background noise somewhere. I don't know whether your TV is on or radio or what.
So can you hear me clearly?
But I'm very well.
Okay, because it's breaking a bit from my own end. You're breaking a bit from my own end. So I was just wondering.
So you're not hearing me?
No, it's freezing in some. It's freezing.
It's your internet.
Okay, so so it's my own internet. So I will switch internet quickly. That's good. At least that way.
If you switch, we may go off. If you disconnect your internet, we will be back on square one. You need to sign in again. So, hello.
Hello?
I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I was saying that you better not switch off, because if you switch off, we will go back to square one, the way that StreamYard works.
Hello? Hello,
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you myself.
Yes. Yeah. So I can hear you clearly now.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So I was asking you, how are the children? How is your husband? How are you guys doing?
Okay, so my husband is well. We're all fine. So the children are very well. So luckily for us, we've had them since March because of the pandemic, because they're normally in boarding school. But obviously we had to bring them home. But I think it's been an amazing time spending that length of time with them and rediscovering them and the growth and development that has happened in their space. And it's also allowed us to at least reaffirm some of the things that we need to reaffirm with them before they go back off to boarding school. So it's been an amazing time for us as a family, yes.
Okay, our audience is saying that there is an echo in my house. So let me be sure that my husband's phone is not on. kindly. They are saying that there is an echo from me. So please, my treasure, if you are on, you can put off. You can put off completely, even the television, because people are saying there is an echo. So sometimes when there are two gadgets that are on at the same time, yeah, then there is a problem. Yeah, so before it's 8 o'clock, we have 5 minutes. Please, people, talk back to us. Are you still hearing the echo from my end? Somebody, Erastus, is saying connection problem. I don't think I have connection problem because our internet is stable. But I'm hearing that echo you are talking about. There is an echo. And initially, I yeah, they're saying it's from men. Yeah. So does it mean it is a problem of StreamYard this thing for the host to have an echo? Because I'm hearing the echo. When I had the echo, I thought actually, yeah, Felix is saying there is the echo here. And he's saying, yes, Mama, there is an echo from your end. The way the StreamYard works? Yeah, because if you watch the one yesterday, okay, maybe what you can help me, if you can kindly ask favor to check whether it is their standard, how the thing happens, or whatever. Maybe because your phone is on down here, maybe you can watch from up. Yeah, so that. All right, brethren, you know we are using, our viewers, we are using a new system, and I'm hearing echo. What I don't know is what to do with it. Our every gadget in the house is perfect. And Daddy is telling me that when we were doing the training, you remember I told you people this training was a serious crash, gate crashing program. We did it yesterday. He was saying that even the learning we learned the echo. So I think that maybe it is a problem with them. I'm not really sure. Somebody is saying, Mama, Daddy streaming from where you are. If possible, he can put off the sound of his own gadget. No, he has even stepped out. He's not even online. I'm also suspecting, this is a new thing we are doing. Possibly there is a way, the one we did yesterday, but the one we did in the afternoon, they didn't have an echo. I wasn't hearing an echo.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The one we did this evening had no single echo. It had no echo. So I'm not sure what the echo is all about. Because even when I'm not talking, you are still hearing echo. Yeah, people are saying there is an echo. The people who manage my distance, Apollonia, IV, and it gets worse when we talk. So, Apollonia, since you know this thing very well, can you suggest where this echo is coming before it's 8 o'clock? I don't want to touch anything here before it goes haywire. So just tell me, what is it that you have been using it? No, I'm not watching. They are asking whether I'm watching the program. No, I'm not watching. I'm not watching the program myself, not at all. Ma, from your end, there is no gadget that is on.
No.
Are we still having an echo? Yeah. Because I hear myself. What did he say? Yeah. Can you reduce volume of your? Yeah, put it down. Yes. Ma, are you hearing me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
Yes, when I talk, it talks back to me. You know, I don't know these two things here. Are they actually supposed to be here? You know, we have two small screens before that. Why? Yeah, that's where we connect, allow the guest in. So if you go to remove, the guest goes. If you remove me, I go. That's where you can remove somebody. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I really know. They are saying there are two gadgets that are connected here. That's why when I say it repeats, let me just put off my phone myself. Let me just see. But if I put off phone, that's where my questions are. Everything is here. So let me see. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you still.
No, I'm just trying to check.
But I'm not.
I switched off my phone.
Okay, I'm not hearing any echoes. So it must be the audience that are hearing echoes.
Oh, yourself, you're not hearing echo.
I'm not hearing any echoes from you. No.
Oh, really?
Mm. So our
All
own
right.
connection must be good. Yeah, it must be the connection with the where you've allowed the guest in. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking we have allowed you in. There must be something. But we need to just uh, manage it and move on. Somebody is
Yeah.
saying a lot of echo. Somebody is saying, ask daddy to put off his gadget. Just put off. And maybe check on we keep on with phone, we get the number. Also, one phone key every phone because when people was all right, I think we need to move on. Uh, yeah, there must be something because when we did our practice, there was no echo.
Mm.
Yeah, so let's just move on. Provided you people are hearing us, just hear us. When Jesus Christ was talking to 5,000 people in Israel, I believe that there was echo. but he still ministered. So we need to move on now. Whatever comes into our meetings, we must take charge and take control. Yeah, somebody is saying I should log out and log in. That's not possible. The process of stream yard is a long process because I have to send some things to her. We begin again. It's not a cheap process. This thing we are doing here is not cheap. So we need to move on. And somebody is saying, my son says that the echo must be coming from the guest background. I don't know, from wherever it's coming from. You're welcome from across the globe. We want to thank God that the day we have been waiting for has finally come. That tonight we have right here with us in the studio, online studio. Every studio is a studio. Online studio tonight with me is Mrs. Adesola Sotande-Peters, the Vice President of Unilever PLC Nigeria, Unilever PLC Ghana in the docket of finance. Ma, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, Ma.
So from across the globe, as usual, let's give her a round of applause. Let's give her a round of applause. Let's give her a round of applause from all over. Let's give her a round of applause. Glory be to God. All right, Ma, can you just give us a little background of who you are, especially in the area of your career? I read about you and I realized you studied abroad. You did your first degree, you did your MBA, and it appears that every study you did abroad. So somebody may say it is because you studied abroad that you ended up being at the top of your career. Can you just say something to the audience about you, who you are, maybe your parents? Just in 5 minutes. Did you come with silver spoon in your mouth, or did you buy the silver spoon by yourself?
Okay. Okay. So I will categorize in my introduction into myself, then my family, and then my career. So myself, I would start first is that I'm a devoted Christian who puts God first in everything that I did. I was born into a Christian home, so I move into the family bit. I was born into a Christian home, so my parents are very, very grounded Christians. My grandmother, who lived with us, was even probably a more grounded Christian, and I learned a lot from her about the Christian belief. So from a very, very young age, I had known that nothing was possible without God and putting things first with God. So I'm married, happily married, with a very loving husband and two wonderful children. God has blessed me with two wonderful gifts that He's put in my hands, and I guard them preciously. And you can't, there's not much you can give God, but I've already said that by really looking after these two precious gifts, it will be a way of showing God my gratitude for all that He has done for me. And from the career bit, I did school in Nigeria. I did my primary school. I went to University of Lagos Staff School in Lagos, Nigeria. Then I went to Federal Government Girls College, BIDA, for 3 years, and then ended my last 3 years of secondary school with Federal Government Girls College, Shagamu, before I went to the UK to do my A-levels. So I started my A-level studies in the UK and then did an American degree in an American university in the UK, and then started working in the UK. So I spent 22 years in the UK before deciding to come back home, back to Nigeria, because, my father was always of the thing that he's to school abroad, but you must bring back that knowledge back to Africa and not just stay in the UK. So I started my career in the UK and came back and started working with Diageo, Guinness Nigeria. And I spent 3.5 years, 5 years in Nigeria, 3.5 years in Kenya with East African breweries, and then another 2.5 years with Diageo in Cameroon, looking after the Cameroon business and 22 other Francophone markets before I now left Diageo and joined Unilever back into Nigeria because of family situations. My family was a bit, we'll go into that much later, where I had a split family situation and I had to wrestle with that. So that's a little bit about myself. So I'm a normal person, and and I wouldn't say we were comfortable, but my father was a civil servant, my mom was a nurse, so it wasn't as if we were born with a silver spoon. But education was something that my father had told us that was one thing he was going to really give us, an education, so that we could be self-sufficient for ourselves when we grow up. And he did do that. You understand, and I'm grateful for him.
So actually, education is a big investment, isn't it?
Absolutely, it's a big investment, and that is something that I had learned from a very young age, that you have to invest in your children's education, because I think that's the greatest gift we can give them. Because sometimes if you feel you have money and your children will be self-sufficient with your money, they will squander it very quickly if you haven't embedded that exposure of education. So it's very, very critical that we invest in our children through their education.
All right, let me just digress a little bit, because this is called Keep It Real Show, And I remember when we were doing our rehearsal, a man of God told you, you better keep it real. And I'm sure he's watching, because there must be something they want to hear. So let me digress a little bit. When did you give your life to Christ? In the Pentecostal circle, we talk about salvation, we talk about relationship with Jesus Christ, and you say you are somebody who puts God first in everything you do. Of late, we are seeing that there is a lot of Christian influence in the marketplace, in the corporate world. Most people that are in the corporate world are born again, and they are not ashamed to talk about it. Which year did you give your life to Jesus Christ?
I gave my life to Christ in 1990, and I would say I gave my life to Christ in 1990 because I personally took that decision myself in 1990. And prior to that, I was a Christian, but obviously I grew up in a family where they were grounded, but my parents are not in the Pentecostal streamline. We're Anglican, so we went to an Anglican church. So in 1990, when I moved to the UK, in 1990, when I moved to the UK was when I gave my life to Christ. In 1995 was when I took it further and I became a worker. I was actually one of the first workers of Jesus House in the UK, when Pastor Tony Rapu came to set up Jesus House
that is the Redeemed Christian Church of God UK.
Yes. So I served in the Redeemed Christian Church of God for a while. So throughout my stay in the UK, I was with the Redeemed Christian Church. We started off Jesus House at a cinema, Warner Brothers Cinema in the UK. Before we started moving, we kind of moved around a bit till the permanent site that Pastor Agu Iruku now has the church. I was a worker. I was an usher during that period of time. I took Jesus House for the first time to the London Carnival because obviously I knew there were a lot of people that we could touch. Even my accounting career I went into accounting to change the narrative of accounting. So I also felt that as a young Christian, you understand, there were a lot of people that attended the carnival that probably needed to hear about God. So we took the carnival, we had a float at that point in time. I remember when I was discussing this with Pastor Abu for the first time, he was like, Christian into the carnival, but it worked out well for us because we were able to win a lot of souls. So 1990 was when I personally I understood what I needed to do. And then I did my baptism by immersion in 1995 as a Christian. And when I was in Kenya as well, I went back to the Redeemed Christian Church of God. My husband is Methodist, so marriage, I had to balance, you understand? So my husband...
We will come to that. We will come to that. The reason why I said let me digress a bit and ask you about when you got born again is because I heard you talk about working in breweries. When you
Yeah.
were talking, I heard you worked in Guinness, Nigeria. You worked in East African breweries here.
Yeah.
And these are alcoholic, these are breweries. So immediately you said it, something clicked that I should ask you, when did you give your life to Christ? And apparently it means that you had already given your life to Christ before you started working in these industries. So what do you say about a Christian, a born again Christian, working in companies like breweries, companies like tobaccos, some companies that do all these things? How does our faith match with this kind of companies? And I want you to be real because you work
Yes.
there.
Yes. So it's I don't drink and I don't smoke. So that's just my own principle and my own preference. The organization encourages us to promote their products. It's the right thing to do for you to promote your products. However, you have to be very, very open and honest. So if you don't drink, they don't force you to drink. You understand? So I'll talk for the brewery, which I work. For the tobacco bit, I leave it to somebody that has worked, but I'm sure the challenges will be pretty much the same. I saw it as a conflict at first, but then I felt that I also had a role and that God had put me in that role to do something. None of my roles that I have been has been per chance. I think there has been an assignment for me to be able to act in those roles. So it was a conflict. And like you rightly said, when I was in Nigeria, I did my job. You understand? I did not hide my religion and the fact that I was a born again Christian to anybody that my colleagues or anybody. I showed the Christ like attitude at work. Um, when I got to Kenya was where I actually had a huge conflict, and it really took me aback at that point in time where somebody actually said that probably tithes and offering for people that worked in that industry was not accepted. And for a while, I I would say that I found it challenging because I also feel like it's a piece of work that I was doing. I don't drink, so the money that I'm bringing is for the work that I have done in those industry and have been paid for. And I also feel that the church should also be open because we should bring in, as even all those people that work in the bureaus, we should bring them to the church. That's what God wants us to do, to bring them to the church, to be able to drink but not to a level where it harms others, because that's my mantra. A little bit of alcohol, for those that can manage it, I don't see any reason, because I've seen people that take a glass of red wine, they say it helps digestion. I don't use red wine, but some people say it does, and they haven't gone drunk or in a way whereby it harms others or they become abusive or so. So I very, very open to that. You understand? And I don't feel that we should be segregating who and whose funds comes into the church, because we should accept everybody into the church and try and get them to know God and then make a decision about what habits they continue with or drop. So there was definitely a conflict, but luckily for me, I spoke to somebody and they said, continue to tithe. You understand? If the pastor then doesn't want your tithe, you write your name on the tithe, then they can return it to you. But it was never done because, for like a month or so, I did not tithe because the message really took me aback. And I just felt it was different from what I had learned in the Bible that, God wanted even prostitutes, alcoholic people to come to church so that we could change them. So I wasn't even an alcoholic person, but I was only working in the bureau and it was a job. But it impacted me when I left Kenya. So when I went to Cameroon, I really thought about this and struggled with my career around that. And that's why when I left Cameroon and I decided to change industries, that is part of why I moved to Unilever, where I felt that, okay, where I go, my tithe and my offering will be accepted. We're only selling soap, soup, and tea. So now my money can go
Oh,
anywhere.
you say we are only selling soup.
So
Oh, very
now I can dance
yeah,
in front.
yeah, saying
I
this
can
is
dance
an
to the
open
altar with my
discussion.
tithe.
Let me just come in, my sister. You know, it's interesting to note that for you, you were even struggling with, I hope God will accept my tithe and offering from brewery. Meanwhile, there are people watching us today that are working in in organizations that have nothing to do with alcoholism or tobacco, and they don't pay tithe. They are not even paying tithe. And yet, here was a Christian battling with, I hope that the tithe I'm giving and my offerings are acceptable to God. In other words, it actually is very obvious that God can reject our tithes and offerings. That is the truth of the matter. Now, those of you that are watching us now, I want all of you to share this. Please share it. I want to give you 1 second to click on the button, the icon of share on your social media. You know what we do here? We are not just talking things that are real. We are changing the narratives and the perspectives and worldviews and cultural inclinations. And what we are discussing can help somebody who is at the valley of decision. Somebody who is about to make a decision now can benefit. So I have seen a number of you that are live on Pastor Esther Obasi-Ike's Facebook. And I know you are live on other social media Facebooks. You are on Twitter. You are on YouTube. Make sure you don't deprive somebody of information. A few weeks ago, one of our ministers said that I am too generous with information, and that is the truth. That is who I am. And I can tell you that one of the reasons why I will never run short of knowledge, I will never be stranded with revelation, is because of my heart of generosity with knowledge. Anything I know, I want everybody to know so that you can benefit. So God ensures that I am always armed with revelation and knowledge. So make sure you touch share so that this program can go wide. You know, we keep it real. This is not where we preach some. This page 1.1. I never thought we will talk about alcohol and where we work. It's not part of the questions. But when she spoke, I picked it up. And then suddenly I saw comments. People are saying, ask her to talk about why she worked in that place. And I had not seen your questions before I asked. So let's come back to the question. I'm sure you have shared because you guys are very wonderful. I'm sure you have shared. Now, we talked about people who don't pay tithes and offerings and they don't care. And this is somebody praying, God, I hope my tithes and my offerings have been acceptable. Now, going back to working in alcohol place and in the place of tobacco and things like that, I can pick up something quickly from you, Sister Adesola. There was a conflict. You have said consistently there was a conflict. And I believe that conflict left you with so many restlessness. There was a type of restlessness on the issue of, am I doing the perfect will of God by working in these organizations? Because you yourself, you don't drink, but you cannot control what the consumers are drinking. Take, for instance, I have one of my spiritual daughters who used to work in a company I will call ABC. And they were producing something that was very harmful and is still harmful to the youth. She said she came to a point, the conflict was too much because she said when she sees these children, smoking, doing all kinds of things, And she realizes she's part of the organization that produces this, even though she's not the producer, but she's part of those promoting it. She said it came to a time her spirit could no longer take it any longer, and she decided to step out. It may interest you to know that I worked in a brewery in Nigeria. I worked in a brewery in Nigeria in 1986. In 1986, I was working with Premier Breweries Onitsha in Anambra State. I was doing my attachment, 1 year attachment as a student. And that time I had two choices. I read food science and technology. That's my background. So I got a job with biscuit industry, biscuit company, and Premier Breweries. Biscuit was to pay me more salary than the brewery. So when I went to the Lord in prayer, I asked the Lord, what do I do? The Lord said to me, I will send you to the brewery as an ambassador. As an ambassador. You will go there and work for 1 year and turn around the lives of people there and shut down that place. So I decided not to take the job for biscuit. I had God clearly. I'm sending you to Premier Breweries as my ambassador. So the first day I walked into Premier Breweries, I said, Sodom and Gomorrah, here I come. That's what I declared. I said, God has brought me to this company as an ambassador, and I will not waste 1 second. I started doing my work. I was in the laboratory. We were the ones doing quality control for the brewery, for the drink. I started evangelizing aggressively and yet doing my job wholeheartedly, doing my quality control. To cut the long story short, I started a lunch hour fellowship. I attracted 3 suitors from top management from that organization. Those 3 suitors were in the top management. One was my direct boss, a microbiologist. The other one was the engineer that was in charge of bottling. And there was another one in marketing. Actually, that one, the one in marketing had his wife. So I wouldn't even call him a suitor. He wanted to destroy my destiny. So do you know, I started evangelizing and we started lunch hour fellowship once every lunch hour, every day, 1 to 2. To cut the long story short to our viewers, the Lord used me, number 1, to bring to salvation my direct boss, who today is a full-time international evangelist and has preached at Solution Center, Nairobi here. And when he came to Nairobi, he slept in our house in Nairobi. And when he came to church, he told the people, this woman, Pastor Esther, walked under me. And she was the one that brought me to Christ. Imagine if she did not bring me to Christ, where I could have been today. That man goes all over the world doing mission. He is a mission guru. I led him to Christ in the brewery. I led the engineer to Christ in the brewery. And that engineer today is one of the presidents of Full Gospel Business Men's Fellowship in Nigeria. I led the one that was married that would not give me rest, every day looking for me to give me lift. I led him to Christ. Today, he's one of the presidents of Full Gospel Business Men's Fellowship in Nigeria. Finally, that organization was shut down. It no longer exists. God took me, and when I got there, I became very strategic with everything I did. I was intentional. Yes, I was collecting the salary every month. God knew this salary, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. God was giving me the money, but I was on assignment. So when they were paying me, they would tell me, of course, my maiden name, okay, pick your salary for preaching to us. I contended with the people. The marketing manager then was in occultic power, serious occultic man. He can sit like this talking with you and go into abstract travel and disappears from the body. I will sit before him in his office, telling him, you come back and listen to the word of God. And God backed me up, and I kept praying that they will shut down that factory because it was not doing good to families in terms of drunkenness and the youth. And I said, in exchange, let them begin to sell soft drinks. All of a sudden, after I left, I was told they were not making money. People stopped buying. People got dissatisfied with alcoholic drinks, and they changed and started doing more. So I don't know about them now, whether they are still there, but for years they were manufacturing malt and minting money, and they were okay, but there was not single alcohol. So I just want to say to our audience, God can send you to Nineveh, but if you are to get a job in an environment like that, you must not go there like anyone else. Your intention should not be, let me go and work and earn salary and come back home. You will be a wasted resource. You must come out from there with a testimony of what you did to change that environment. Otherwise, quit. Otherwise, look for another job, because you can never endorse what advances the agenda of hell. The Bible talks about drunkards. Since we cannot control how much drinking they do, the best thing is that we should not be party to their productions. So the bottom line is, find out from the Lord why he's sending you to somewhere. And when you get there, ask the Lord, how long do I have here? And when your time is over, the Lord will tell you, because you will lose your peace. There will be conflicts, and God will make a way and put you where you will enjoy your work with peace. So that's what I will answer. All right. Before we go into the other segment, even though this was not part of it, but I think it's important. Yes, I want to please let you people know, tomorrow, make sure you are on my page for the turning point prayer. I told you that tomorrow we shall be taking time to praise the Lord. We will worship him. He has done marvelously well. We want to thank him for who he is tomorrow. From 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., we need to create an atmosphere of worship. And I will give you revelation. Wherever you create a climate of worship, God puts his throne in that place. So please make sure that tomorrow 8 p.m., don't say, is it praise we are coming to do? If it is praise, I'm not coming. You have missed it. Because when every other thing fails, praise will not fail. Praise is a messenger that never comes back empty-handed. So tomorrow, make sure you join me on this same page from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Then on Sunday, this coming Sunday, next week, I'll be hosting Mrs. Nena Mwabufo. Nena Mwabufo is the Acting Director General, East African Regional Development and Business Delivery of African Development Bank. A woman is the Acting Director General, East African Regional Development and Business Delivery Office, African Development Bank in Nairobi here. She will be my guest. And we will be looking at different people in, who are in the corporate world and they are born again. She's a minister of the gospel, and yet she's occupying this kind of position where they are funding East Africa in billions. So we to her on Sunday. Don't miss the show. Don't forget our Friday mini vigil on RCCG page, 8 p.m. on Friday. Back to our guest tonight. Sister Adesola, can you tell me, what does it take to climb the ladder to the top in somebody's career? What are we looking at? There are many people today who are crawling in one area for 5 years, 6 years. They don't move an inch in an organization. Then I read your profile and realized you climbed the ladder in Unilever. before you got to the vice president stage. You didn't enter there as the vice president. You were something in account, then from there moved until you became. So can you tell us, what does it take to climb the ladder of greatness?
Thank you. So I think is consistently delivering great performance, and I think that has really worked for me. One, like I said, before I move or take any role, I pray and ensure that I hear from God that it's the right role for me. So I've turned some promotions down because it hasn't been what God has spoken to me clearly as the way to go. Because He knows me. He knows I'm a hardworking person, very transparent. I don't know how to, make things that are not nice look nice. You understand? I say it as it is. And I've been very, very consistent with them. And when I'm going to move either to a new line manager or to a new role, I always pray about it, that it has to be something that I can be myself. If it's not going to be a role where I can be myself, Adesola, then, I would rather not take the promotion and wait till that role that God wants me to be myself. So I think delivering very, very consistent performance is very, very critical. Let people know you for who you are. Your no should be your no, your yes should be your yes. And then when you go into a role, you take ownership of the role. I've always taken every business that I've worked with like it were my own personal business, even before
Absolutely.
or make any decision. I always ask myself that if it were my money that I was spending, not Unilever's money, but if it were my own money, is this what you will spend it on? So even with negotiations, some of us, we get to big corporate organization, we think because they're big, we don't negotiate. If somebody comes and says something is $1 million, we just sign it off. I'm known in the organization to ask myself, well, why am I paying $1 million? Can't we find somebody inside here that can do it or look for a cheaper? You understand? And the organization recognizes that. And, they always recognize that. When I go into a role, I always am very, very clear on the roles. I always know what does the role entail? What can I then now do to expand the role? So like you rightly said, when I got to Unilever, I was hired to be the finance director for Nigeria. I did it within 18 months, and I have that track record that after 18 months, I start getting restless. And I'm very open with my employers that I always tell them that, you know what, I go into a role, I learn the role in 6 months, I expand it in the next 6 months, and then the next 18 to 24 months is like I'm waiting for what next. And excitement either puts me on a project, let me volunteer myself for something. So I started off with the Nigeria role. When I started getting restless, the Ghana was added to my role, and then the Africa controls and governance was added to my role. You understand? So it's you really understanding and expanding your role so that by the time you expand it, there's either they promote you in that role or they know that you are ready for something bigger than what they've given you. So for me, I think consistently delivering great performance, and you can only do that if you're happy doing the role you're doing. Some of us take jobs because it's a promotion and it's more money, and then we wake up in the morning, we don't even feel like going to the office. We don't even feel like doing that thing. It will come out in the quality of the work you do. So you have to be very, very sure that it's a role that you're going to enjoy waking up, even when you're not feeling well, you feel you still want to go and do that role. And I think that has been how I have succeeded across all the organizations that I've worked for.
Excellent, excellent. You know why I'm happy that we are bringing people like you on this show? In October, I will be bringing the former vice president of Unilever, Mrs. Osime. She will be on this show in October. When you bring in people, and at a point, I'll be bringing one of the former presidents of one of the top people in Coca-Cola, who was the first Nigerian managing director of Coca-Cola, will be on this show. When you bring people from these classes, social background into this show, one thing is very paramount. Their methodologies, their formula are consistent. Irrespective of the background they are coming from, they've not listened to each other, but their formula are the same. In other words, anybody that wants to get to the top of his or her career, there can be no shortcut, because you talked about performance, no compromise about delivery. You have to deliver. And I thank God for our viewers. They are typing it on the social media and it will rest there forever. People can reference it. Performance is not compromising. You cannot be a low performer and expect to climb the ladder. You have talked about ownership. When you come to a company, you take it as your own, because Jesus says, if you are not faithful in that which is another man's, you can never have your own. So any area you will do in an organization to help that organization save cost and still have quality, you do it. You are talking about loving what you do. Loving what you do. You have talked about asking for stretch. You want expansion. You get restless. After you work for 6 months, you feel this job is too little for me. I don't mind volunteering my skill. Give me more jobs. The Bible says if you're faithful in one city, you will be given 2 cities. If you are faithful in 5 cities, you will be given 10 cities. So you come to an organization, you realize that there are people that are overworked because they keep on having work. And there are those who keep on withdrawing their jobs because they are not performing well. So I think the secret of greatness remains the same. And so those who have ears to hear, you hear. The choice is ours. If you want to go further in life, sit down and evaluate your career and ask yourself, where am I missing it? And when you see your roles shrinking in an organization, it's a very dangerous one. So ask for more roles, ask for expansion. All right. I want to come back to you about your work and your family. You're married, right? Have you been married for how many years?
Okay, so I've been married we celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary January this year. But myself and my husband had dated for 10 years before we got married. So I always say we've been married for 30 years.
So yeah. Your real marriage is 20 years, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. Now, how does this your type of job? Be very honest. Was there any time, or is there any time, or will there be any time in your marriage that you see a sort of conflict, competition between you and your husband? I don't know what he does, so you can tell us what he does. Lack of, it appears you don't have respect because you are on top of your career. You may be misunderstood. Just tell us how your career mixes up with your marriage.
Okay, so like I said, I dated my husband for 10 years before we got married. So I met him when I was 17. So I was still in school. I was still doing my A-levels. So the luck for me was that he has always known from when we met that I was a career-driven person. And because we were both young, he was 19, I was 17, we had built our dreams together. You understand? Even though they were dreams at that point in time, we didn't know how we were going to achieve them, but we just built these dreams together of where we saw ourselves in the next 5 years, 6 years, and then in the future as well. So I think that really helped me, that he's always known that I'm a career-driven person, but he also knows that I would always put him and the children first. And I've never made that a doubt in anybody's mind, even my organization. I always tell them, I say, as much as I love my career and I will give you my 110%, when my family needs me, I will put you guys on the back burner. You understand? My family comes first because that is where I draw energy and support, and they have really supported me. I'll give an example. After living 22 years in the UK, I had a son in the UK, and I woke up one day and told my husband, I said, you know what? We're paying child, I'm earning maybe, then I was earning maybe about £1,800 per month. My son's child care was maybe 800, because you know in the UK you split, the husband pays mortgage, you take child care. So child care, the nursery he was going was 800, nanny au pair that we had to get was maybe another 300. So at the end of the day, you had nothing left. You understand? So I told him, I said, you know what, I'm going home. When I go home, my mom has said that she can get me nanny, even if I want 2 nannies for this boy for half of the cost that we're paying here. So, you know, I went home with my son. My son was about 2 then. He supported me. And that was when I started working with Guinness in Nigeria, and I got a job with Guinness in Nigeria. And when my father passed on about 5 years after I got home, you know, my husband joined me back in Nigeria. And then a year and a half after, he joined me back in Nigeria, left his job in the UK, a good, very good job in the UK, came back to Nigeria. The opportunity for me to move to Kenya came up. You know, still worried about telling him. I told my mom, my sisters, and you know, all of them are, hi, you want to leave your husband in Lagos, somebody that has just relocated, you know, and everybody are like saying that, if you leave your husband in Nigeria and go to Kenya with Nigeria, then that's the end of your marriage and everything. But I knew, you know, I knew what we had was stronger than the marriage ending, and that he would support my career. So he supports my career. I have also separated work from home. You understand? My title in the office does not come into the home at all. I don't allow it into the home. My responsibility in the office is different from my responsibility at home. My responsibility at home is to be a mother and a wife and ensure that I play those roles perfectly, because he sees how I play the role in the office, how I take my work in the office. It will only be very, very silly of me if I don't bring that same commitment into my responsibility as a wife and a mother. So I have made sure that my marriage has not been put in a position where both of us feel we're in competition. We're not in competition. He's very, very supportive. Advice, I use him as a sounding board. He's a good listener. When I have issues, conflicts in the office, he knows me very well. So sometimes when I take cases to him, and he will tell me that I know, maybe you stepped your toes there, I know how you behave, and then he would advise. But I think where the tension in the family came was when I had a split family situation. When after I left Kenya and I had to take up my role in Cameroon. And at that point in time, my son was already about 10. He also had a voice in the decisions in the house then. So my husband was in Nigeria, I was in Kenya with the 2 children. You understand? Then I had to move to Cameroon and leave my son in Kenya in boarding school. So at that point in time, my husband was in Lagos, my son in Kenya, and I was in Cameroon with my daughter. I think that put a lot of strain on the family. All of us, all 4 of us had some strain, probably to different degrees, because my husband had to be in Cameroon sometimes, and then we will both fly. He will fly out of Lagos, I will fly out of Cameroon with pull my daughter out of school to go and do a visitation for my son in Kenya, because we always try and do things together as a family. So even when we're going to visit the children in school, we go as a united family so that we use it as a family bonding period as well. So I think that put a strain on all 4 of us. And I had to make the call after 2.5 years in Cameroon to say, you know, I need to move back home. You understand? I would find an equally challenging and fulfilling role in Nigeria. You understand? That would also allow the family at least be together. And so those, but we've never really had any situation where he feels or I disrespect him because of my career. No, not at all. Yeah.
But are there any other things? Are you saying that in the 20 years there has never been an issue that made you feel threatened? Your marriage may, you look at your marriage and say, oh my God, I hope something wrong is not going through this marriage. Nothing in 20 years.
I think we've had probably other issues, family issues, you understand, family, other family, normal family issues, but it hasn't been work related. Obviously, marriage is an institution, and
Correct.
marriage is an institution. So even I always tell people, I always tell the children, I said the first year, we courted for 10 years. We lived in the UK and everything. And then the first year when we got married, he came up with rules and regulations. He cannot eat stew of the next day. He can't, those kind of things will trigger your mind. And then I was still,
He cannot eat the stew that is tomorrow. It has to be freshly made.
and then, I called my mother-in-law and she's telling me, oh, that's how his father was. And I was like, okay, what kind of thing is it? you have all those little issues, you understand, but I don't think work related. I've always tried to ensure that I don't put my career first for them, and I make it clear to them that when they feel I'm doing that, you understand, then we talk about it and find a solution for it. Because sometimes my work requires a lot of traveling. You understand? A lot of traveling. So I have to pre-book my exit out of the house before I even make commitments in the office. And then my calendar in the office also incorporates key family events. So all the children's school calendar, my PA includes into my work calendar. Any calendar for my husband, key things that I have to probably create the time to attend with him is also incorporated. Even I have to take leave to do that. It's a stretch, but I think it's the best thing I can do as a woman that wants peace and to be able to keep a happy home and also achieve what I want to achieve.
You know what you're saying here tonight is that it is not a crime to be a career woman and make a successful marriage. That's what you're saying. You can be a career woman and still have a successful marriage. Because the notion is that women that are on top of their careers, their marriages break, their marriages don't last, and it makes sometimes men are not comfortable to marry women that are career women, because as they watch how their homes break, they said, no, I better get the one that is sleeping in the house and listening to me than the one that is there and wants to boss me. And I think it's because of the way we have mismanaged career and our home. From what you are saying tonight, you're saying, keep your career in the office. Keep your career in the office. Be the powerful woman or man that you are, whether husband or wife. Keep those titles and positions in the office. As soon as you lock your office and you are coming home, you are either a wife or a husband, either a father or a mother. Then I love what you said, that it will be very unwise of you to put all your energy in the office, but don't put the same energy at home. I think that is where we have problems. People are guiding their office because of the benefits they get in the office, because of the money they get there. So they put all their energy there and give 20% of the same energy to home. When they come home, they are not very useful and active because of work. And sometimes they talk to their spouse as if they are talking to their subordinates in the office. They don't know the difference between a secretary in the office and their spouse at home, the driver and the spouse at home. So what we are planning to, ladies and gentlemen, is that the career is not the problem, but the owner of the career is the problem. Because God's will is to put us on the top. We are supposed to be on the top. And when the Bible says we shall be above only, it's not for male or female, it's for both male and female. The wisdom demands that we balance our life. Look at the way you are a very wonderful planner. I have been teaching people on time management and discipline every Wednesday, 5 p.m. You plan your life in such a way that even your PA in the office knows your itinerary. Make sure that he doesn't clap. She knows when you are going to visit the children, and make sure that your diary is fine. Meaning again that you also have a good PA who you have carried along in your job, who is competent to help you organize your life and make sure that you are productive. So thank you so much for sharing that aspect of career. I have 3 more questions for you before we call it a night. This is 5 minutes to the top of the hour. If you have not shared, please make sure you share. Don't forget tomorrow's prayer meeting, 8 p.m. Don't forget Wednesday, faith clinic, Friday vigil. Next Sunday, I have told you who I will be hosting. Another market dynamite Amazon. And we will see whether our own story will be different from what Sister Adesola has said. So back to you, ma'am. There was a time you told me that you organized, is it 72 hours praise in your house? What was it?
12 hours of praise.
12 hours of non-stop praise at home.
Non-stop.
Non-stop. It amazed me when you shared with me, even at that your level in the corporate world, you could give God 12 hours of praise. We are talking about like 45 minutes of praise tomorrow. You gave God 12 hours, and you told me how you brought different bands. And I know each of them, you paid them honorarium. And you are not a church, you are not the pastor of the church. You are not anything. But at the kingdom, I have a role to play. Can you share with us how your spirituality and your career complement each other? Your spirituality in the sense of God complement with your career. You said God is number one in everything you do. Share a bit of that praise. What, just in 2 minutes, what did you put together in your house? How did it go? And does that mean that there is something you are doing in the kingdom for God outside your career?
Okay. So so everybody has their strengths in their spiritual life. I pray, but I get more benefit from praise and worship. And last year was a very, very tough year for me and the 2 markets that I was managing. So both my markets in Ghana and Nigeria had real performance issues. And so like I told you, I take my work like it's my own. So it wore me down, and I spoke to my husband, and this was last year, July, when everything was going down. I had board meetings. I had to go to the board to explain to them why performance was not doing. And I told my husband, I remember I came back from a flight from Ghana after meeting with the board in Ghana. And I told him, I said, if God gets us out of this issue, I'm going to start the year with just giving him 12 hours of praise and worship. They thought I was, in fact, I said I wanted to do 24 hours. So my mother was asking me, so how will we do it? Who will sleep? And, because I wanted to be part of the whole. So he said, why don't you start with 6? I said, no. So we landed with 6, but then I now said, what's 6? By the time we're starting, the 6 hours is already finished. So we decided to do 12 hours of praise. And also because in January was also on the 8th of January, we were going to be 20 years. It was going to be our 20 years wedding anniversary. Our son turned 18 last year, December. So there was so much for me to thank God for. I looked back at my life and said, so I have an 18-year-old son that is amazing, doing very well in school. I have a lovely
He was fixing your hair today. He was the one fixing your hair. I was so impressed.
Yes, he's an amazing child, you understand? So I just felt that rather than having all these big parties and stuff like that, that an average, like, I'm not a social person. So I just said, what can I do so that I would feel fulfilled? So I said I would get a hall to do it. But I now said, why should I waste the angels coming down in somebody's venue when I can open up my living room to God and for the angels to come down and reside in my house? So we decided to, on the 3rd of January this year, like we knew it was going to be a very difficult year. I just keep thanking God that I started the year with 12 hours of praise for him, because it's been amazing. So we had 12 hours of praise. We had 3 bands. Everybody took 2-hour slots. We had outside, we set up for food for people because it was a working day. So I just told friends and family they could stop in and join the entire family. The 4 of us were there for the 12 hours. But friends and
that was
family.
in your house?
Yes, in my house. So we started at 9 a.m. and we ended at maybe about 9:45, because the last hour, nobody, the house was filled with people from after work, and it went on for longer than the 12 hours. But it was amazing. Yes, amazing.
Glory be to God. You know why I brought that dimension? Is to let people know that every position that God places us in is for his own glory. The higher you go up, the more relevant you should become to the Almighty God and a blessing to humanity. But unfortunately, what we see today, as the Lord promotes people, they withdraw from service. Somebody who used to be very active in the church, doing so much, suddenly just gets a little promotion and they will withdraw from church. They are no longer interested. They tell you they are so busy. They tell you, Pastor, I give my tithe. What else do you need? And so we need to understand that God is the source of our lifting. And so this year you decided I will give him 12 hours praise in my house. And you contracted 3 bands. And you told me you never missed any hour yourself. You never missed any hour. You were there. You removed chairs from your house. You turned the house into a praise because you wanted angels to come down. That the reason why you didn't hire a hall is that you said, let the angels not go to the hall. Let them come to your home. I wish people who God has blessed that are in high positions today, we know that the higher you grow and go with your career, the more obligations you have towards God. The more obligations you have towards God. And that is how God lifts us up. My prayer is that for those of us watching, may your job never separate you from the Lord. May your business never divorce you from the Lord. May your academic position never make you to become too busy that you cannot create time any longer for God. All right. 2 more questions. Somebody is asking you here, and the fellow is saying, how do you deal with an insecure boss? You are working in the office and you are somebody that wants them to give you more job, but you have a boss that feels threatened by the kind of aggressive or the way you are advancing. How do you handle such a boss?
It's very difficult, and I would agree with you. But what I do is, insecurity comes when they don't know that whatever you're doing is with positive intent. They have this perception. So what I always do when you get into a role and you see that the boss is going to be insecure with you, number one, those are the kind of roles that I said I would probably turn down. If I see somebody is already, you're not even at their level, they're already competing with you and feeling in competition. But if you find yourself in that situation, because sometimes you might not know the individual, if you're hired from the outside and you're not climbing up within the organization and you just land with the boss, and when you start talking and stuff like that, the boss now starts feeling that you're trying to put them down. What I always do is to ensure that I get very close to my bosses. And I tell them, I said, I'm getting close to you so that I understand what keeps you up at night, so that I can support you in ensuring that we resolve those things. That's the strategy I always use with them. So it makes them know that I'm not trying to do their job to get their position, but that I also have a vested stake in if the organization doesn't do well, it's not just your own issue, it's also my own issue. So what can I do to help? So I think there's so many ways that you can get your boss to see that you're not a threat. You understand that? And I always let people know God is the person that knows where I'm going to get to. So it's not me that will choose the next role. So if God knows that I'm going to be your boss in the future, because I know some people that I was their subordinates that now that I am at this position, I'm now their bosses. You understand? But you do it with a lot of humility as well when you're going to ask for those roles. You understand? Or task that can I do this on your behalf? And the reason why I want to do this way, because I know you already have to do X, Y, Z. So by the time you spend tomorrow in this meeting, that meeting, where would you have to? So let me just do the spreadsheet for you, and then we can review, and then you can send it off. Sometimes we want to do the spreadsheet and send it off to their own boss, and then they now think you're threatening them. But do the work for them and give it to them to shine. You understand? When they shine, you shine, because people definitely know where the work is coming without you having to advertise where the work is coming. So I think it's just really to have some emotional intelligence and around how you play with such leaders. Yeah.
You are just amazing, Sister Adesola. You are just tremendous. You know why? You have a woman filled with wisdom, and I believe it's because of the relationship you have with God, because of how you see God, that God gives you wisdom how to navigate through your career. Because what you have said is very true. Every boss needs security. Everybody needs security. And therefore, how to give them security is to get very close to them and find out what you can learn from them that made them to be on top. And then ask them, how can I help you to remain on top? Because when a boss realizes that somebody working with me is always asking, how may I help you? That boss will never feel threatened at all, because you're asking the fellow, you are doing too many things, your hands are full. If fear away, I can help you. Somebody did it for us in our office 2 days ago. The fellow wrote me and said, Mommy, kindly tell me areas I can help you more. Are there areas more I can help you? The fellow is a staff with us. And the fellow wrote me and said, Mommy, please tell me which areas can I help you more. And I wrote the fellow back. I said, some of the things I do are so technical for you. You may not be able to help me, but I have put some volunteers. Some are working on research. Some are working on put packaging. Some are working on ABCD. At this point, you are not able to help me. But because of your request, once I see the area where you are competent and you will help, I will readily pass it on to you. So this individual is getting closer. This individual wants to carry part of my burdens. And so, no matter how this fellow shines in the office, it will be the joy of the boss that you see. There are people who are helping us, all of us. We are shining together. So we need to understand how the offices work and make sure that we navigate very well, so that we don't pray unnecessary prayers. There are some of us uprooting their bosses. All the fasting they are doing is to uproot, to destroy. Meanwhile, wisdom is a weapon of defense. You can actually use wisdom to navigate your way. I have seen bosses who buy gifts for their subordinates. I have seen bosses who take them along for holiday, pay for their holiday, because they feel you deserve this holiday. You have worked so hard, and they use the company's money or their personal money and say, this fellow, go on 1 week holiday and rest. That is how the work environment should be when we apply wisdom, rather than fighting, plotting, conspiring, and petitioning. All right. I will ask you the final question, but before that time, I want to appreciate my husband, Pastor Prince Obasi-Ike. He has been making a comment, and his comments here, people have been replying, Daddy, it is true. Daddy, is true. He's hailing you. That the comments you are making are fantastic. I will advise that when you have time, go to my Facebook and read all the comments. Go to the YouTube, read all the comments. Also, try to follow me. Be like all of you that are watching, like my page. Don't just follow, like it. Follow, subscribe to my YouTube, so that you can get it. You can be getting enriched with this kind of knowledge are at no charge. This is the wealth of knowledge that we are giving you. People are watching from Canada. A professor is watching from Canada, and she's saying it's a strong man to have a strong wife. And what is strong man? A man that knows himself and his worth and his value. When that man knows who he is, even if your wife is the president of a nation, it doesn't change anything. That man celebrates you. That man encourages you. Like you said, that when you have problems, you talk to your husband. He knows your weakness. He says, I know you have stepped on their toes. This is the way to do it. It shows that it is a team that is working in Unilever, not just you. So, Pastor Prince, thank you so much for helping us in this place and always being part of my story and my career. My God will reward you both on earth in eternity. I appreciate you and value you and treasure you beyond description. The last question I want to ask you, Sister Adesola, is that you mentioned to me that you also run a ministry of mentorship. Though being very high in your career, you still have a ministry. What drives you and what kind of ministry is that? And when you're answering, please, in 1 minute, tell me how somebody can also stay on top. You have told us how to get to the top. You get to the top through ownership, performance, and all those being relevant and making sure you are humble to get there. But when you get there, there is also a big challenge to stay there. So how do you stay there in 1 minute? Then you now tell me, what ministry do you run? What drives you to that ministry? And I think that's where we are going to sum it up tonight.
Yeah. So I think staying up is always very difficult. And you've mentioned what I would have said is to stay very, very humble and open-minded. Like I said marriage is an institution. I always say that even in leadership, when you're at the topmost, there's still scope and room for learning. I would use myself as an example. Yes, I'm Vice President Finance, but I'm having to learn a different aspect of finance, digitalization, automation. So when you're humble, what I do now, once a week, I run 1 hour sessions with the millennials in my team. I tell them, I say, come and teach me this Power BI and all the things that, it doesn't make me less a leader. But I also use that time to also do what Pastor Esther had said is my ministry on mentoring and coaching. So I have a website, which is here at Adesola Out, where I put a lot of blogs and write-ups. My daughter even wrote something about Black Lives Matter on it. So we put different things there just to encourage people. I have a passion for the young people. And I say a passion, especially in the workspace, because they don't have the patience that some of us have or had in our careers. And I have teenage children at home. I know they're impatient. They want to climb up very quickly. So I like to mentor, to coach them, to actually, challenge their thinking and stretch it at the same time, and to share my experience, most importantly, so that they can learn from either mistakes that we have made in our careers, and they can ensure that they don't make exactly the same mistake. I wish I had, live mentors when I was at their own age. So it's something that I said that, I would give my time to whoever reaches out to me. So I have a lot of mentees, you understand? But the fantastic thing is that as they're learning from me, I'm also learning a lot from them. It's part of my mentees that triggered me starting my website, having, tweeting and all those things I never really used to do. So now I put 3 blogs a week on my Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and then on my website. I write more now, talking to them. When I wrote something around on marriage as well on my website, because quite a lot of them, our relationships have gone past the professional. They now start asking me, how do you cope? How are you able to keep your marriage and stuff like that? So I find it that it's a two-way thing. And then I also sit on another organization where we're working with young boys that are in the correction center. And because the first time I visited them, they told us that if these boys don't become good standing boys at the age of 18, they will just transfer them into the jails, the Nigerian jails. So we have a passion to work with them, re-educate them and let them be ready to be let back out to the society. So those are the things that I do in my little spare time that I have.
Do you do it only online, or you do it physically?
Well, the mentorship I do online, I do physical, but with the COVID now, we've all moved online. Yes, and I don't. We start off with a structure, but what I've also told my mentees is that they can WhatsApp me at any time because sometimes the challenges they face need to be answered now. They need advice right now. So I also open my time up to such individuals because there's nothing that as good as prompt advice when you need it right there and then. Yes, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. There is somebody here by the name Josephine. She's testifying that she worked in the same organization with you. She says she can testify. Yes, she said she can testify. Let me read it out. That's why when we are in the public, we must be careful. This is Josephine Muburi. She says, having previously worked in the same company with Mrs. Adesola, she is indeed a hard worker and committed to excellence. She is a woman of God. What a testimony. What a testimony that somebody who worked with you say you are committed to excellence. I tell people there cannot be any shortcut. It's either it is excellent or it is not worth doing. Yesterday, somebody texted me, Mommy, I thank God. I may not quote exactly what she said. She said, I pray that I get your spirit of excellence, I think by all means. So I text her back. I told her, you will get it in Jesus' name. And I told her, those who are ready to succeed in life, we take hold of the opportunity they have to work with me and get to their greatness. I said, but those who are not serious, they will quit sooner than later when they meet me. And the reason why she said it is that I gave her a job to do for me. She's a volunteer. I have been on that job to make sure that there is no predicament, impediment. She will submit it. I will find out something wrong. I will tell her, go and work on it. She submitted again. I worked. I say, work on it. Yesterday, she submitted again. I told her there is still a problem, 1, 2, 3 places. She texts me and said, Mommy, may I receive what you have? And I told her, I said, I don't compromise excellence. No, I don't. Because I have interacted with people like you, people that are in different corporate world. I was in the corporate world before I came into ministry. There is no other ladder to get to where God wants you to go to, apart from all these things we have talked about. So we want to thank you and for the testimony we have received that even in your busy schedule, God remains at the center of everything. God remains at the center, that in all your traveling as a vice president, you still have even some time to mentor young people. That is very encouraging. Ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, I want to give it to Mrs. Adesola Sotande-Peters. Give her a round of applause from across the globe. A round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause, a round of applause. We've enjoyed your honesty. We have enjoyed your simplicity. We have enjoyed, I don't know what else to say. And we are grateful that God has made you who you are. We pray for you that it can only be over 418. Your path will keep on shining, 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 brighter and brighter. And because you have made the Lord God your refuge and your number one, He will continue to hide you in His secret pavilion and you will continue from there to be a blessing to your family. Say hi to your husband, say hi to your
Really?
two, say hi to everyone, and we pray that in Unilever you will continue growing until even in your career outside Unilever you will still grow higher, but keep on being a blessing and influencing the world. We are very
Thank
grateful. If I need to read all the comments here, we will not go. We've already overshot by almost 19 minutes, but that's what's all the time, because these are seminars people attend in hotels. They pay flight ticket, they pay hotel, they pay for food, just to come and listen to people like you. So when we bring you people on board, even if it takes us 2 hours, it was the investment. But my greatest prayer is that the people we are talking to, we want to see testimonies and changes. I don't just want us to come here, type, oh, powerful, amazing, gracious, and you go back as if you never had. The Bible says it's like a man that looks at the mirror, and as soon as he walks away, he forgets how the face looks like. We don't want that. We want this show that is real to connect with people. If you're married and the Lord has blessed you graciously in a position, make sure you separate completely your office from your home so that you can get enough support from home, and never compete with your spouse. Never go into that competition. Even if that fellow drags you, tell that fellow, this is a dangerous wrestling. I am not going there. Pretend that you are nobody in your office, and you will see how in your house, rather, that in your house, pretend that in the office you are nobody. But when you get to the office, you know all the respect that should be accorded to you. So once again, thank you. And to our viewers, don't forget tomorrow prayer. If she did 12 hours of praise non-stop, I think we need to do something for God in our homes. And it's not just the one we come to church. You as an individual, do something that will provoke God to do something for you. Don't forget, next Sunday, we shall be hosting the Acting Director General, East Africa Regional Development and Business Delivery Office, African Development Bank, Nairobi. Let us also hear from her how she's managing in East Africa, dealing with African Development Bank and sponsoring projects that are worth billions of Kenya shillings, and yet remains a mother, a wife, and a minister of the gospel in her own right. So right now from Nairobi, Kenya, we shall be saying good night to you. And I will like Mrs. Peters to give us the last statement in 30 seconds. That is our parting shot as we say good night to those at night time zone, and good afternoon and good morning to those in diaspora and other places. Your parting shot, my in 1 second.
Okay, just thank you for having me on your show. I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm happy to connect with other people through my LinkedIn, if they want to ask more questions, because I think we can only share our experience to make things easier for people, and especially for women. When you know somebody else has gone through exactly what you've been through, it gives you the confidence and the strength to press on. But always put God first. God, he's a faithful God. He's a faithful God. And once you have a personal relationship with him, life and your career, it's a breeze. It's a breeze. Yeah, it's a breeze.
Amen. The Lord bless you and have a good night. Thank you so much. And thanks to all our viewers. We appreciate you. We love you. We value you. And we pledge to continue to impact you through Keep It Real Show. Good night for now. And you have heard, check her on in her LinkedIn and be her friend. And you can ask all the questions you want to ask. And I'm sure she'll be willing to take you through the journey of career. God bless you.